the WrestleMania 40 preview. Now, we do have some set questions about certain things that we are looking forward to about this card that we will get into. But before we get into those questions, I am going to go off the cuff here. I'm going to ask each one of you, and I'm going to start with Chris. Just overall thoughts. How are you feeling going into the weekend?
So it's WrestleMania, but I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. The build to this WrestleMania has been one of the worst in years. There have been
Yeah,
some matches that have been built up to the moon, and then you've got a match like Bayley versus Io, a Royal Rumble winner match that has just been completely flatlined. Like the
I
only
can
thing that
agree with you
happened
to some
was
extent.
the only thing that happened out of it was, Dakota Kai rejoined Damage Control, and now they're taking on Bianca, Naomi, and Jade, who completely unconnected from Bayley. Well, I guess Naomi and Bayley kind of had something going because Naomi wanted to help Bayley. Bianca's like, nah, 2 years ago she tortured me. Leave her. That's all I remember. And then you've got some last minute additions like Ray and Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. Couldn't you just have another member of LDF? Why does it have to be Dom specifically? I thought he was done with Ray after last year. I don't get it. But overall, the I'm feeling pretty good about this weekend. It's going to be a WrestleMania. Some matches are going to deliver, some matches aren't. But overall, it's going to be your by the numbers WrestleMania. It's not going to be anything spectacular.
Josh, go ahead.
Um, I mean, the majority of the build for WrestleMania has been on Roman, Cody, The Rock, and Seth. And it feels like, kind of like what you were saying, Chris, a lot of the other matches that should be getting a lot of build have just not gotten the attention. Like, I'll even throw LA Knight versus AJ Styles in there. Like, Chris, I know your feelings about this match, but
Right after the US title.
fair enough. But like this feud is so interesting to me, and it's just like it doesn't feel like it hit the peak of what it could have been. Or the feud that Thomas just brought up, Jimmy versus Jay. This is brother versus brother. It hasn't happened since the Hardys faced off
At
against
WrestleMania 25.
Yes. So, and it has very little build to it. Like, I thought the Usos match might be a Hell in a Cell match or something.
I honestly, because I remember seeing this a while ago. I honestly fully bet that they were going to turn it into a City of Brotherly Love street fight.
That's basically what they're doing with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits against Karrion Kross and AOP.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, let's dive into what match are you guys most excited about? It could be from either night, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, so I have three. One of them isn't even happening at WrestleMania. It's the main event of NXT Stand and Deliver. Carmelo Hayes against Trick Williams. The way they had Carmelo turn heel on Trick at the end of Vengeance Day was perfect, and I cannot wait for this match. They are going to absolutely beat the absolute piss out of each other. I was making an argument they should have done this match at WrestleMania, but I'm fine with it being at Stand and Deliver. But I think that has a chance to be match of the weekend. Number two, Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley. In my opinion, that should be main eventing night one, not the stupid tag team match with Cody, Seth, The Rock, and Roman. get out of here with that, because that stipulation doesn't matter anyway. Whereas you can tell how much animosity there is between Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley. They are going to brawl, and oh God, I can't even think of some of the spots they're probably going to do in this match. And then my number 3 is LA Knight versus AJ Styles. I have been predicting this match for WrestleMania for a while now, and we know what AJ Styles can do in the ring. We've seen what LA Knight can do in the ring. They are going to tear the house down.
Chris, go ahead. And then I'll go.
I have 2. I have got 1 on each night. As much as I've been saying LA Knight should be going after Logan Paul's U.S. title, I do want to see what he can do with AJ Styles. I think that match is going to be incredible regardless of what my thoughts are. But there is one match on night 1 that has stood itself above the rest. And this is the match that I was hoping night 1 would have, because I'll be hosting a watch party. And that's the match I want to see in my apartment. And that is Judgment Day versus DIY versus Awesome Truth versus The New Day versus A-Town Down Under versus what do they call themselves? I call them British Strong Style.
New Catch Republic.
New Catch Republic. Thank you. In a 6-pack ladder match challenge for the undisputed tag titles. That match, as you've said it yourself in the past, Josh, there's never been a bad ladder match at WrestleMania, and this will continue that trend.
So Michael Cole actually said on commentary during Raw last night, the match will continue until both sets of tag team titles have been captured.
Which is how they're gonna split.
Yep.
The tag team titles. Now I do think that now Travis says there's talk Waller and Theory are gonna lose their spot. I actually think that they could be the team that grabs the SmackDown titles. If they go that route. I do think the way they're gonna do it is R-Truth is gonna grab the Raw tag team titles and think he won the match.
I can agree there. I actually have I have Awesome Truth winning the Raw tag titles. I have New Catch Republic winning the SmackDown tag titles, because I don't like and you know what? I hate saying this because they're both talented somewhat. I don't like Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, but I think Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. Tyler Bate is well overdue a title run somewhere, anywhere, and the tag titles. Him and Pete Dunne, they will elevate the SmackDown tag titles to where they were when the Usos had them.
See, that's how I feel about DIY if they were to capture the tag titles, because we've seen what Johnny
I actually think they should save DIY's tag titles for SummerSlam, and they should do Awesome Truth versus DIY, because Johnny's from Cleveland, Miz is from Cleveland. It only makes sense.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. So I feel like personally, and me and Josh have this debate all the time about what is the real difference between professional wrestling, sports entertainment, et cetera. As Josh knows, I am more of the character guy. I'm not really this in-ring work 5-star match type, but I think you guys both are more of the wrestling, the in-ring, as opposed to the storytelling and the promo aspect of it. I am surprised that neither of you picked either main event, because those are the first 2 matches I'm most excited for on this card. Josh said the tag team match is stupid. I completely disagree. I think the tag team match will be one of the most fun matches, if not the most fun match on the entire weekend. And it will set the stakes for what night 2 will be. And as me and Josh have debated for a long time, I think the winner of night 1 is losing night 2. Now it could be where the winner of night 1 wins night 2 as well, depending on how you book it. But I think that not only does the main event of night 1 have implications on the main event of night 2, but it also plays into the World Heavyweight Championship match, which I am anticipating will kick off night 2. And I am very excited looking forward to that match. But I think one of the most underrated matches on the card is the triple threat for the United States Championship. And between Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton, I think they are three incredible workers. The story is obviously there. These are three guys, Logan Paul and Randy have been in the business for a long time. Kevin Owens obviously made a vet at WrestleMania last year. Randy Orton coming back from injury. And Logan Paul, regardless if you love him or hate him, he's obviously from our area. He's one of those
But we don't
celebrities.
claim him.
Yeah, we don't. The Clevelanders do not claim Logan Paul or Jake.
Well, you should, because he grew up about 15 minutes away from my house, but nonetheless.
Nah, I still don't claim him.
I knew someone who went to high school with them. He despised them.
Well, as much as people hate him, you got to admit that Logan Paul, I think he is one of the fastest celebrities ever to have picked up the sport, if you will. He's never had a bad match in his life. And once he turned heel last year, around this time when he faced Josh's guy, Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, I think the light bulb just clicked. He's been an incredible U.S. champion, though, contrary to what some people think, I think the reign is actually ending Sunday at WrestleMania.
If it were me, I'd give the belt to Kevin Owens.
And I agree, and I think Randy would be the one there to not take the fall.
Yeah, I think Logan Paul is getting pinned. I actually agree with both of you. I think it is going to Kevin Owens. Randy, and I know there's someone out there that's going to disagree with this, but Randy is bigger than the U.S. title.
No, I think that we all agree with it. But I was telling Josh this. When you look at WWE right now and the depth that the roster has, there is so much depth that guys like LA Knight, guys like AJ Styles, guys like Randy Orton, guys even like Gunther, who really should be in the main title picture. There is so much top talent, and you can see, in my opinion, the long range planning that they have going for both world championships. There's not a lot of room for those other guys that we really do like at the top of the card, which is why they're in these middle feuds.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of middle feuds, you brought up Gunther. I get what they're trying to do, but the story just isn't quite there for me with this Sami Zayn stuff.
I disagree, because I thought the video package last night they did with Sammy and Chad Gable in the back absolutely sold me on the match. And I don't think Gunther can have a bad match. I don't think Sami Zayn can have a bad match either. And I understand why some people wanted Chad Gable to get his moment here. I get it. My argument is, though, you can't really have Sami Zayn go from being in the main event last year of WrestleMania, one of the most high-profile, emotional stories that we've seen in the past half decade in professional wrestling, to not being on the card at all at WrestleMania. And you guys both know, even though you guys are more hardcore wrestling fans than I am, WrestleMania is mostly about the casualness, and I think Sami Zayn appeals to the audience more than Gable does, unfortunately, for those people.
That is very true. Sami Zayn is definitely more casually feel. Now, for those of you that don't know, well, a lot of you guys don't, a lot of your chat doesn't know me, but I am a big Ring of Honor independent scene.
You're just a fan of professional wrestling.
I'm just a fan of professional wrestling in general. So I've known Sami Zayn before he was Sami Zayn. I knew him when he was El Generico, when he had the mask on, when he was putting on bangers in ROH with the likes of Kenny Omega, with Adam Cole, with Kevin Steen, back when he was Kevin Steen, with all these guys. So, like, seeing Sami Zayn in the mid-card in WWE, yes, it breaks my heart a little. He should be world champion. He should have been world champion by now. But he's not, and we can only hope that changes in the future. But I do think he's beating Gunther. I think he's I think he is. I think he's gonna dethrone Gunther, and Gunther is gonna be world champion at some point this year. Maybe not by SummerSlam, maybe not by Bash in Berlin, but I do think that Gunther should win the World Heavyweight Championship by the end of this year.
Let's talk about what match you guys are least excited about. This is sort of a loaded question because while I do agree, the weirdness of this card is there are some back half people on this card that were in main event spots or close to it last year in big high profile matches, like a Ray versus Dom, that has sort of turned into a match that has no build. For me, I would say it's the Damage Control versus Bianca versus Jade versus Naomi. I have told Josh this before. I understand in the sense why they wanted to do EO versus Bailey 1-on-1. I would have loved to see the triple threat between Bailey, EO, and Dakota, the 3 original Damage Control members. I think that would have made just the Bailey and EO feud alone better to have Dakota in there, because Dakota can be another mouthpiece, because EO, even in the promos, like Dakota's studying for EO because EO's promo work is not the best. And so by that measure, I think Damage Control has basically become a shell of himself. This match is basically going to be a Jade Cargill showcase, I believe. I think that they're going to want to make her a huge star. Like, it's going to be a whatever. Probably going to go on right before The Rock and Roman versus Seth and Cody tag match, I would imagine, at the end of night one. Because I do think Becky and Rhea, to Josh's point, I think that's the second best match on night one. I think that kicks off night one. So
I
think
definitely see that kicking off night one.
So I think you separate the women's matches as far out as you can, because it's the other match, so that goes on right before the main event. But again, it's crazy because you know there's people like Charlotte Flair, who's obviously injured, not on this show. But when you have Rhea, you have Becky, you have EO, you have Bailey, you have other hard-working women like a Liv Morgan, for example, who can't even get on the card.
Shayna Baszler.
Shayna Baszler,
Zoe
Bianca
Stark,
Zoe Stark,
Indy Hartwell, and Candice LeRae.
I would argue. Bianca Belair is down at the bottom essentially, and she had been in back-to-back women's championship matches. So what that tells me is just the depth of the roster right now. And I do think, and me and Josh haven't had this debate, so I'll bring it up right now. I wonder if it's time, because I made the argument for years, they should dump the women's tag titles and introduce women's Intercontinental Championship or some mid-card singles women's championship. That's what they need to do.
TBS championship in AEW.
Yes, something like that, where then I think you could eventually bring the tag titles back once you organically build tag teams.
Right. I mean, for the second straight year, the women's tag team titles are not being defended at WrestleMania,
and they're in a random six.
Yeah, in a random 6-woman tag match. This is like, because we're in a Discord server where like there's this guy that's pushing hard that says AEW should have women's tag titles, and I look at what WWE has done with their women's tag titles, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I want AEW for that. It seems like if WWE, the big standard for professional wrestling, can't get their women's tag division together, can't have women's tag titles be on their biggest show, what makes anyone think that AEW could do that whole thing any better?
I will say there's been times where the tag team titles have been relevant. Nia and Shayna had a good run. Bailey and Sasha had a good run in 2020
connection always
when they were heels.
Oh yeah, because Bailey had. Did she have the SmackDown?
Yeah, she had the SmackDown.
Yeah, they had all the women's gold.
Yeah, that was a good time. The PC era. In the middle of COVID, I would actually say that when Sonya Deville, who obviously went out with that ACL injury, I thought Chelsea Green did what she could with the women's tag titles with what she was given, which was unfortunately not much of a division. I see what they're trying to do in building up the tag division a little bit, mostly on Raw. There's like no women's tag teams on SmackDown besides Damage Control. but I've been making the argument that you got to at least have a women's. There's so much depth now in that women's division, partly to what Triple H has done, bringing back a lot of the women when he took over creative control. That I think you can. I think it's feasible now.
Yeah, I think a women's mid-card title should be a thing. And like, look at Ring of Honor just introduced a women's mid-card title, the women's TV title, because their women's division is excellent, and it has been for a while. Athena has been leading the charge for the women. She needs
to be on the main roster.
That's what I've been saying. This feud between her and Shida for the women's world title at Supercard of Honor, these are two of my favorite women's wrestlers. They should obviously, or they should burn this house. They should burn the house down. And I want to see Athena go after the AEW women's title because she's that good.
Yes. And okay, Chris, I'm going to lead you into this because I think I know one of the matches you're least looking forward to. It certainly is for me. Roman Reigns, I'm using your nickname for him, against Cody Rhodes.
I can't believe you guys are not looking forward to the main event of WrestleMania.
So I'm looking forward to it only because I want to see Roman lose. I don't think Roman, there is no way that they could have Roman Reigns retain this time.
Yes, there is. There is absolutely a way.
No, you can't. Don't bring up the record. Do not bring up the record.
Why would you have Cody
stupid record? It means
win
nothing.
The Royal Rumble 2 years in a row if he's just going to lose the second time?
Because he's going to win it 3 times in a row.
Don't bring up the record.
And they're doing it again.
Don't bring up the stupid record. It means nothing.
I don't even need to bring up the record. I'm telling you right now, Cody Rhodes is, I'll say this, even if he beats Roman, he's not walking out of WrestleMania champion. That is my prediction.
Damian Priest is going to cash in.
And you know what? I'd love to see Damian Priest cash in, but the way that him and Drew have been interacting, like Drew, like the times that he tried to cash in when Drew was facing someone, or like when Drew and Seth had it, Drew, I feel like Drew's gonna win, and Damian Priest is gonna cash in on Drew, but I don't see Damian Priest actually being successful with that cash in
because of CM Punk.
No, Punk's not getting involved with Drew and Seth at all. No, Drew is gonna beat Damian Priest down.
Huh. Well,
see, I think if Priest cashes in, it would happen mid-match, like the way Rollins did at WrestleMania 31,
or like how Lola Vice tried to do with
Roxanne
Perez and Lyra Valkyria at
Vengeance Day.
Which, by the way, that was funny.
That was hilarious.
She took the pin too. She cashed in and took the pin.
That was one of the funnier parts.
That was the worst cash in I have ever seen in my entire life.
I think they've held the briefcase on Priest for a reason. I think that they have waited for the perfect opportunity, and I think WrestleMania is it. Now, I do think that, again, I believe that Cody Rhodes is not beating Roman. I think Roman is retaining the championship. I do think at the same time, Damian Priest could also cash in during the World Championship match, and Priest and Roman could leave WrestleMania as your 2 champions. I also think there's the combination of Drew and Cody. There's the combination of, Priest and Drew. There's so many different combinations of world champions that could leave this show. That's why I'm saying, Josh is saying that these matches are not intriguing to him. To me, they are so unpredictable. I could sit here and tell you who I think is going to win. You guys think somebody else is going to win. We truly don't know because you can book it both ways.
Yes, but
also,
here's
I'd have something even funnier.
Okay.
Roman retains. Damian cashes in on Roman and wins.
They're not ending Roman's title reign like that.
They've ended title reign. I've seen WWE end long title reigns that way.
Can I say this? That was under the old administration, and that also had no significance like Reigns' title reign.
Okay. Here's
Fair
the
enough.
thing. I get this stipulation with the tag team match. If Cody and Seth win, the Bloodline will not be involved in the title match. I call bullshit on that. It's a Roman Reigns match.
Which is the point, which is why I do believe that Cody is actually going to pin The Rock clean in the middle of the ring on night one. Nobody else believes me, but I think that Rock is actually going to take the fall to Cody. And I think that they are still going to get involved on night two because that's what the Bloodline does.
So,
and that's why Roman's title reign needs to end because we're sick and tired of the Bloodline.
Yeah,
bingo.
You guys.
And it renders that tag team match absolutely pointless.
Well, does it? Because Cody just got a big victory over The Rock. So, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Because the stipulation is if The Rock and Roman win, it's Bloodline rules. If Seth and Cody win, it's free of the Bloodline. But the Bloodline's going to get involved no matter what. It's pointless and stupid.
Well, that's your opinion. That's not mine.
And also, how many of Roman's title matches have actually been clean? Maybe like 5 or 6?
Way early in the reign, there was actually a lot of them. Not as of late.
Yeah, before the unification match, like there were a few that were clean, and also Roman worked a lot more matches. But as soon as he unified those two belts, Bloodline involvement, and he was barely defending it, which is why we want him to lose, because we want to see if you're putting the undisputed Universal title on this pedestal of it's the highest prize in wrestling, why have it be barely on TV and barely defended?
Because when it is, it's the most important belt on the show.
And also, I don't give a damn about Cody Rhodes finishing his story because I don't like Cody Rhodes. I never have and never will. I don't like the way he left AEW, and I hate his entrance because he goes way over the top with the usage of pyrotechnics.
So my argument, Chris, and you can tell me if you agree or not, is I always felt like Cody finishing the story is him winning the belt. I never, from what Cody has actually said on TV, it's never been about defending the belt. It has always been just about him winning it. And now it's mostly about beating Roman. It's not even about the belt. So that's why I think if he does finish the story, he's not going to walk on a Mania champion because Priest would cash in. Because you need something for Cody to climb. Cody is just this gigantic baby face and having a couple championship reigns. I don't think it works for his character. I think Cody is so over because he's chasing this boss. And I think that after Mania, even if he wins, he needs something new to chase. And you need something so big, like a Damian Priest heel turn, not even a heel turn, but a championship win that would get him so many boos that's what needs to happen if Cody wins.
Yeah, I'd love to see Damian Priest cash in, but at the same time, it's like Cody's never been a big world champion. This is his first. If he wins this will be his first major world championship. And honestly, after all these years, he's deserved it. He's earned it. Let him have it.
I mean, I will say this, Chris. He did it to himself in AEW.
That is true.
But I love what Thomas said here. Gunther's reign is what Roman's title should be. Fully agree with that. I mean,
yep.
Almost at almost every PLE, Gunther is defending his Intercontinental Championship against somebody, or he's having some type of match on Monday Night Raw. He even defended the IC Championship multiple times on Monday Night Raw. And we barely see Roman at all on SmackDown. And when he's there, it's just acknowledge me.
Acknowledge me.
And he goes off
Yeah.
on some promo. And it's
what I loved is when Seth was on the Grayson Waller effect and like they were like acknowledging the tribal chief or whatever, Seth just flips him off. It's like, oh, can't do that.
Let's get to the match that you guys think could steal the show.
Oh,
easy. Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley.
I'm actually gonna pivot. I'm gonna go with Bayley versus Io. We know Bayley and Io are two of the best in-ring workers in WWE's women's division. I think they have the potential to put on a show. Bayley has been involved in a lot of major women's matches throughout the history.
She has. This
He
will
was
be
part
her
of the
first
4 Horsewomen.
one-on-one.
This will be her first
match.
WrestleMania singles match, and I call me or say whatever you want, but I think this has potential to be the first 5-star match in a long while in WWE.
There was one recently that just got 5 stars.
The most recent one I could think of was Cody and Seth at Hell in a Cell 2022.
At Hell in a Cell, which I mean is pretty. I mean, let's be honest, for WWE, that's pretty recent.
Yeah, that is pretty recent. I feel like Meltzer is a bit too hard on WWE because there were a few matches that I watched last year and even a couple this year that I believe were worthy of 5 stars. The 5-way North American Championship match at Stand and Deliver last year, I believe that was worthy of 5 stars. I thought the men's War Games match this year was worthy of 5 stars. I thought, the women's Royal Rumble match this year, I thought that was a 5-star. It's hard to rate battle royals, but Dave gave it a 3.5 stars, and I think that's lowballing it immensely.
Now, this is where my sports entertainment side, and this is where you guys will see my vision for wrestling comes in. You know, my favorite match that I still cannot get out of my head for like the last 2 years is? You'll never guess it. I'll just say that. It's a match that everybody thought was going to be stupid, and it was stupid, but it was the most fun, I swear to God, I've ever had watching wrestling.
Sami Zayn versus, who was it? From Jackass.
Johnny Knoxville, yes, sir.
You know what? I loved that match. I thought it was a fantastic banger.
Like, that to me is a 5-star. That's what I call 5-star. Entertainment.
I agree.
You said I couldn't guess it.
Okay, well, you guys both guessed it. So I'll say this. I agree with Thomas. I think the 6-pack challenge, Sammy and Gunther as well. I will say this. I said it a little bit earlier. I think very underrated. The triple threat between Orton, KO, Logan Paul. Very much like Gunther, Drew, and Sheamus last year. I think that could be a hell of a match.
Oh, yeah. Sammy and Gunther, that's another one that I think could steal the show. But I think Bayley versus Io, that one, I do believe that one could be a 5-star match. And
that's how I feel about Becky versus Rhea.
Oh, Becky versus Rhea could easily be a 5-star match.
And Chris, I know your feelings about the World Championship not being in the main event for Stand and Deliver, but you know how deep this feud runs between Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. And I'm going to say it. I know it's on Stand and Deliver, not WrestleMania, but I think Carmelo Hayes versus Trick Williams could still steal the show. We know what Carmelo can do. We've seen what Trick Williams can do. They are going to just absolutely beat the piss out of each other. And I don't think it's a match we're going to forget for a while. I really don't.
So let's talk about the champion that is most likely to lose their belt. Chris, I'm going to start with you.
Well, as we've discussed, champion I think has a 100% chance to lose their belt is Judgment Day. And you thought I was going to say Roman, didn't you? Nope.
No, I did not.
Because of the 6-pack, I do believe Judgment Day are not walking out tag team champions in any way, shape, or form.
That's a good answer. I like it. Josh, I'll let you go.
Roman, I don't think he's leaving WrestleMania as the champion. It's either going to be Cody Rhodes or it's going to be Damian Priest.
I don't think there's no way in hell that Io Sky walks out women's champion. I think this is Bayley's moment. I think that Bayley deserves it. We talked about it. It's her first one-on-one WrestleMania match. She's been in a multitude of multiple person matches. Obviously, she missed 38 due to an injury. She was a host at 37. 36 was the COVID year. So she had a little bit of a stretch there outside of last year, obviously teaming with Damage Control. She's had a nice little stretch of like not being either on the card or being pretty low to the card. Her last really big match, if you really think about it, was that WrestleMania 33. When it was her, Nia Jax, Charlotte, and Sasha in that fatal four-way. So I think that Bayley gets her moment here. I also agree with Tom. I think that this WrestleMania, which is going to be Seth Rollins' first WrestleMania main event, which is wild to me, I think it's going to be a bad weekend for Rollins.
I could see Drew winning it, but the fact that CM Pinky, as I'm going to call him.
Oh, you mean that guy that told the truth about AEW yesterday?
I hate CM Punk. I always have and always will.
Well, we know that. By the way, Chris, how do you feel about Punk being back?
This is how I feel. I am a CM Punk fan through and through. I have been since his early ROH days.
Listen, I was a huge fan of Punk, and I've been telling Josh this for months.
I went to the Monday Night Raw where he signed to the brand.
Yeah, I was there as well in Cleveland in December. I was at the Raw in 2014 when he walked out. So I was there that night. I was one of those people that were very disappointed. But I've been telling Josh this. Listen, there's a reason why, in my opinion, AEW was never higher with them and really hasn't recovered. You can make an argument since Cody left, but really since Raw out, it's been a completely different product.
Yeah.
And yet AEW is still rolling.
Well, are they? That's a debate.
I don't want to get into the whole.
The last couple of Dynamites have been just top tier stuff.
Yes, and I don't care about the attendance numbers and AEW only has a quarter of the arena full. What I see on TV, they're giving me good shows. I'm liking the matches they're giving us, so I'm happy with it. Like, would I like the attendance numbers to be better? Sure, but for me, it's not a big issue.
Well, that is fair enough. Let's move on to our final question here, our final previewing question. Which champion is most likely to retain their championship? Let's start with Chris.
Who most likely to retain? If you had come to me a few months ago, I would not have said this as my answer, but Rhea Ripley.
I'm going to go with the Intercontinental Champion and the Ring General, Gunther.
This is one of the few times I actually agree with Josh tonight. I disagree with you, Chris. I don't think that Sammy is winning. I think that they are setting up for another match with Gable. I think it's one of the reasons why Gable is in this position to help Sammy. I think that they want Gunther to maybe lose the championship actually in Berlin when they go there later in the year. And I disagree with Tom that says that, the Drew winning the world championship sets up a Gunther title at Bash in Berlin. I don't see that at all. I see an Imperium implosion, maybe a Gunther, Ludwig, Giovanni triple threat in Berlin for the Intercontinental Championship potentially at that point. Because again, I think the issue is, I think Drew is facing Punk for the World Championship in Cleveland here at SummerSlam.
Absolutely.
And I think Punk is going to win that match. And so the way I see it, and this is, again, Roman, Cody, Seth, Punk, there's all these guys that are in this story together, and I think we'll get Punk and Rollins back at some point as well, because we definitely need to see that match. They're all of these guys where their stories are almost intertwined together, that there are your Gunthers, your LA Knights, your Styles, your Orange, I said earlier in the show. They are main event talents, but at this point in the company, where there's so much long-term storytelling for not only now, but even going into next year's WrestleMania, these guys, to me, there's nowhere to put the championship on them unless you want them to have short title reigns.
Right.
I mean, going back to the other question, champion most likely to lose, Logan Paul. I mean, we talked about earlier how Kevin Owens is most likely going to win that title. Although, even though I understand what you're saying, Chris, about Randy Orton being bigger than the United States Championship, I think he would be great as United States Champion.
See, I think
don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Randy Orton as U.S. Champion again, but he's a legend. He doesn't need a mid-card belt, just like Brock Lesnar doesn't need a mid-card belt. What would Randy do for the U.S. title that already, or that Cena? Well, I say this because Randy Orton and Cena had a thing. What would Randy Orton be able to Would Randy Orton be able to elevate the U.S. title like Cena did in, what was that,
2015?
2015.
That was 15.
Would Randy be able to elevate it like Cena did? I love Randy, but I don't think he can do that.
See, I actually think, and this is why I think Roman's retaining, I think Roman and Randy Orton are main eventing SummerSlam. That's my hot take.
I'd like to see Cody and Randy main event SummerSlam. Think about it. There is history between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton.
There is history.
They do have a legacy.
They do.
And honestly, Cody and Randy have more history than Roman and Randy do. So I think like the bigger draw for Randy is Cody, or the bigger draw for the World Championship with Randy Orton involved is Cody.
I wanted to see Roman and Randy for 2 years, right before Randy got hurt, because that was supposed to be the SummerSlam match 2 years ago, and then obviously
they pivoted to the last man standing match, which by the way was a fantastic match. I've gone back and watched it a few times. That tractor spot,
the greatest spot,
never ceases to amaze me.
It was the way Roman just went tumbling backwards.
And then the mic toss from Brock on the top of the
before they even started the match. Yep,
that was insane. Yeah, and then of course Austin Theory, Mr. Money in the Bank, getting absolutely destroyed. All right, real talk. Austin Theory is the worst Mr. Money in the Bank, and there's no changing anyone's mind on that.
Damien Sandow.
Sandow was over at the time. Austin Theory wasn't.
Maybe Corbin losing to Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, that's a true one. But Baron, they jobbed Baron Corbin out poorly.
Otis,
I would say
Otis
Otis is another one. Braun Strowman should have had something better with it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Strowman was so over. I thought he was going to cash in and win the world title, but hey, we win some and we lose some.